Lehetőségünk volt beszélgetni a Comic Con sztárjaival, ahol Erick Avarit, Deep Royt és Jerome Flynnt örömmel állt a rendelkezésünkre. Szó esett családról, videójátékokról, régi és új szerepekről, és az igazi emberi értékekről is. Nézzük meg együtt a beszélgetések legjobb pillanatait.
I did an autograph session. It's unfortunate for the language barrier, because usually I do enjoy meeting and interacting with the fans. I think they're a little more reserved here, very polite. They're very gracious. You can see that they're so happy to be here, you know, and it's very touching.
Well, every nation's got slightly different personality, hasn't it? But there's a nice, what I'm feeling is a nice kind of sweet gentleness from the Hungarian people.
First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be in Budapest. You know, for me, it's not what I've done. It's all about the fans. That's what matters to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing Comic Cons. You know, and that's the reason I do Comic Cons. Because it gives me a pleasure to put smiles on the kids, the fans. That makes me very happy.
I go to a convention and either it's Stargate or The Mummy.
It was an accident.
Darling girl, when Ramses destroyed Syria, that was an accident. You are a catastrophe! Look at my library!
And then some TV shows, you know, whether it was, at one point, Heroes was a big one. So it changes, you know. I'm always curious about when people come up and say hello. I say, so what show do you recognize me from?
Stargate, the famous scene with the chicken.
It's a chicken. It's a chicken. Good.
Do you know about your memes?
Somebody told me about my memes. I've seen a few memes. I think there was one about the vaccine, actually, saying, with Bron going, what if I don't? I like that.
Yes, of course, I've done 3 big franchises. The other actor to do that was Simon Pegg. I am blessed, I'm very lucky. I couldn't even imagine that would happen in my life, but it happened. And I'm very grateful that it did.
I'm very anxious to go back to my hometown in Darjeeling. I understand it's changed a lot. I've seen YouTube videos on it, you know. It's a magnificently beautiful town. You've got the Kanchenjunga Range, which is the 3rd highest mountain in the world. And that's like that, you know, and it's 28,000 feet of snow. So you wake up to that and it's just, takes you on another plane, you know, and I miss that very much. My family is no longer there. Both my parents have passed. But the cinemas are no longer there. They've been sold off, which is a shame, because that was, I don't know if you saw a movie called Cinema Paradiso.
Yes, it's a classic.
It is a classic, and that is the story of my childhood.
Oh.
You know, with the movies, the movie theaters was the center of the town. And every week, that's what people look forward to. And then for the rest of the week, they'd be talking about the movie. You know, and it was a social gathering, and it was a very special kind of place and wonderful place to grow up.
I hadn't acted for 10 years. I sort of walked away from it. I wasn't known in America. So it wouldn't have made it, if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't be being offered, I'm offered a lot more stuff because of Game of Thrones. So there's no, it would be, yeah, there's definitely nothing bad about it. And it's only brought richness really to my life in many ways, through all the friends I made, but the different connections and doors opened.
Like Ripper Street, maybe?
Like Ripper Street, yeah.
Which gave you a BAFTA nomination?
It did, yeah. And that was a special show for me.
My dad wanted me to be an accountant. I did that for 2 years. I was pretty young, naive, still learning about life. And I said to my dad, I don't want to be an accountant. And he said, what would you like? I said, I want to go to drama school. So I went to drama school. I quit after 3 months. And he said to me, now what? I said, I want to be a comedian. And his answer was, it's a joke. I did that 3-4 years. Then I met the agents.
When you arrived in Los Angeles or Hollywood, maybe there was less Indian actors in big movies, and now it's much more diverse, much more races appears in movies. Do you like the change?
Very much. I love the change. I started in New York because my idea, I never thought I was going to be on film, you know, with this face, I thought. So I managed to establish myself as a theater actor in New York and doing regional theater, you know, all the different theaters in America.
You played with Val Kilmer once, no? Val Kilmer.
Well, yes, that's right. Jared Harris, yeah, it was a wonderful show, yes. I loved it. I never thought I would go to Hollywood. And in fact, you know, being a New York actor, we had a little sort of attitude towards Hollywood actors. We said, you know, we're the real thing, you know, because we have to start at the beginning and end at the end, no prompting, no cut, no nothing, you know. But that's a naive look, because actually Hollywood actors are also very skilled in a different way.
You mentioned that 10 years you go to Pembrokeshire.
Pembrokeshire, yeah.
Tell me about why the town?
County area. Because when I was young, I went with my family. It's a very, very precious, unspoilt part of Great Britain, which, you know, felt much less kind of colonized by the material culture that we have been colonized by. And the people there felt like going back 50 or 60 years. And still much more of a felt connection to our ancestral past. And just the sheer beauty of the coast there, which has been protected. So, you know, it was like coming back to our Celtic roots. It felt, yeah, I'm very blessed to be able to live in such a beautiful place.
As you mentioned, my first feature was with Peter Sellers. That's 1975, just like yesterday. And my first television appearance was New Avengers. And I just lost my dad. 3 months later, I got a television. And he always used to say to me, when I'm going to see you on TV. And I said to Dad, pretty soon. Thanks, Dad. At least I've done something. You know what he used to say to me? Be nice. You got nothing to lose. You've done so much for me. I feel if I'm sick, I feel I am 6 feet tall. I could see his tears in his eyes, so give me a hug.
As an actor, especially as an ethnic actor, you know, you have a responsibility to that ethnicity, you know, not to sell out and just, because people see it and they respond to people in that manner. So my constant sort of negotiation with directors was, maybe we can lighten up on the accent, maybe I don't have to do the head shake. You know, I had a rule of thumb, for example, comedy, right? Here's the part. Now, if I take away the dialect, if I take away the accent, is it still funny? If it wasn't funny, then I felt like there's a problem, you know? And if it's funny, then you don't mind putting an accent to it, because it's not just the accent that's funny. It's a funny guy who speaks with an accent. And that's a big difference, you know?
The casting director, Nina Gold, who was responsible for putting such a brilliant cast together, she had seen me in a play 10 years before with my hair back, kind of playing a bit of a badass. And she remembered that. So she just said to my agent, oh, can we see Jerome to interview? I went and stayed at my brother's because I'd moved out of London. Stayed at my brother's and I was looking at the script and I was like, oh, I don't want to go for auditions again. And what's this kind of medieval Game of Thrones made by Americans? This could be terrible. And I opened up my brother's kitchen cupboard onto my eye. And I had this big fat eye. And I put my hair back and I was like, suddenly I was like, okay, maybe I could do, you know, maybe I could be a badass. And I think that made a difference. So it just kind of, that's the way it went.
One of the hardest, physically and mentally, was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. When Tim Burton asked me to do this, he said, we don't have a script. Everybody was telling me to do Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I said, why doesn't Tim ask me? And he said, Tim is scared if I say no to him. And I said, how can I say no to Tim Burton? And I've done 4 movies with him. I played 168 individual Oompa Loompas, which is, by the way, in the Guinness Book of Records.
I know you were in 2 video games. The first one in '97, if I know right, and it's called Zork the Inquisitor.
Oh!
please tell me about that, some stories.
The reason I wanted to do that, that's when green screen was just starting to happen. It was difficult trying to work with the green screen and have to put everything in your head, you know, like when you're running to try to imagine that a bomb was blowing up there or whatever, you know. So this was an opportunity for me to practice that and rehearse it. And it turned out to be a lot of fun. And also, when I got the script, it had the best line in that I've ever had to say. It was, above all, remember, I am the boss of you. I am the boss of you, right? And I thought, this is wonderful.
I am the boss of you. I am the boss of you.
So jump cut to many years later, I was in Paris, and I don't speak French, but a gentleman came up to me and he said something that sounded like he was speaking French. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't speak French. And he said it again, I am the boss of you. I said, I'm sorry, I am the boss of you. And it suddenly occurred to me that what he was saying, you know, but it was out of context 10 years later, you know. It's funny how those things happen.
You bring into that character something from yourself?
Into the character, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we do, I guess, as actors. We tap into parts of ourselves that are there. Some more primal than others. There was some primal stuff there in Bron, which I hadn't been able to necessarily express before. His humor and, yeah, a lot of my best friends at college, drama college, were from up north. And they had that kind of dry, northern sense of humor. So it felt like a combination of 2 or 3 of my best friends. Most of the lines were perfect already, so there's only a couple that I offered something up.
And have you seen the new Chocolate Factory? The character played by Hugh Grant, you know, the new Oompa Loompa. Have you seen it?
I have.
Did you like it?
I did, but I'll tell you why. You see, I'm not a movie critic. Who am I to criticize anyone? I feel bad for the other actors because there are far too few jobs for the other actors.
Yeah.
They could have used another actor rather downsizing him. Things are going to change a lot in the film industry. Not only CGI, it's going to be AI. Sooner or later, there won't be any actors. It'll be just the voiceovers.
And many years later, you dubbed in Destiny.
Yes, and the folks who did Destiny, actually, they were the ones who told me this, that, oh, that Zork was the grandfather of them all. It started the whole video game trend, and it's a classic and all this stuff, so I didn't know that. But.
I'm doing a 2nd season of a series called 1923, which is in the Yellowstone with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. I did the 1st season a year and a half ago. So we're just about to go, well, August I go out to America. And there's another British comedy drama called The Change, which is very sweet and funny, and I'm doing that in about a month.
AI is going to be very strong. The Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Union went on a strike. They got a deal out of the studios for 3 years. What's going to happen after 3 years? Back to square one again.
Do you see anything or just the lines? Or do you see the scene?
No, just the lines. And there were fragments of lines, you know, and I said, what? I don't know what. They said, well, just give it a little twist or whatever, you know. But there was no reference point, you know, like when you're doing a show and you do a scene, as an actor, you know that, okay, this is working, or there's a part that's not working, or whatever. Here with this, I had no clue. You know.
Any projects? Yes, I'm working on animation stuff, which I want to produce. Desire is my passion to be a producer. But then again, let's see what happens. Because Tim Burton said to me, animation is the way to go.
Well, I had left Hollywood in 2016. I wasn't happy with the roles that I was being offered, and I'd had a bad fall while doing a musical off Broadway, and I broke my back. So that was, it made me realize there's more to life than, you know, work. And it was just me and my dog. And then a month after my surgery, my dog, my dog was with me, and it was just the two of us. She passed away. Oh. And I was, feeling bad. And I got this script for a Bible show, Jesus story. And I thought, maybe it's a good idea to go back and get my mind off and focus on something else.
Be nice. The day is too short to be selfish.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Sorry, I've been a bit sleepy.
Oh, no. Don't worry.
Thank you so much.